Last time on the Skip and Josh podcast.
I can't imagine us doing any single topic the same for an entire month. I cannot imagine
We
that.
should try. Let's try. You want to give ourselves a challenge? Let's do it. Well, a month for us is only 2 episodes.
That's true, actually, yeah.
You're listening to the Skip and Josh podcast with Skip Sherman and Josh Obadia.
Okay, Skip, so this is normally the point of the show where I tell the listeners what today's topic is going to be, but I don't even know what today's topic is going to be because it's going to be a completely different show. So I'm going to have to skip that part and then just go to the part where I tell you something that happened to me this week.
Let's hear it.
Well, actually, this didn't happen to me, but it happened yesterday, apparently. And it's huge news for everybody except me. And that is this new show dropped and it's called Rings of Power and everyone's talking about it.
But it's not just Rings of Power. There's also House of the Dragon, which you don't care about either. These are like, to me, the same show, but...
I never heard of that other show you just mentioned.
Oh, you haven't? I mean, it's in Canada, House of the Dragon is on Crave, so I don't know if you haven't seen a million of the commercials for it.
No. But I saw a big Rings of Power poster in the subway the other day, so that's why I know about it.
So Rings of Power, just to explain to you, because you probably have no clue what the hell it is.
No.
Well, it's on Amazon Prime, which I don't get, but anyways. It's like a Lord of the Rings universe. Like it's supposed to be before, I think it's supposed to be before the Lord of the Rings movies, or it's somehow in the same world, you know? But I mean, I don't know if I'm going to watch it. I'm not sure. House of the Dragon, I actually started to watch. We watched the first episode. That's like a prequel for Game of Thrones. That's
okay. I did hear about that one. Yes, I didn't know what it was called, but I did hear about that one.
So that's 200 years or 100 and something years before the Game of Thrones that we all already saw. Actually, the House of the Dragon, the first one was really promising. Like I had no expectations going in. I actually thought it wasn't going to be good. And I was like, oh, this is actually looks like it could be really good. I read an article about the Rings of Power yesterday. Apparently, because Amazon had to turn off the comments and the reviews of the show, they suspended the reviews because they were getting what's called review bombed. Like it's just like a whole bunch of negative reviews. And they don't know if they're real or they're bots or it's some kind of conspiracy or maybe they are real. I don't know, but they had to shut off something on their site which allows for reviews because there were too many negative ones. Apparently, it cost like $1 billion to make. It's like the most expensive thing that Amazon ever did, and they're basically like staking the entire platform on this show. Like if this bombs, maybe there's no more Amazon Prime. You know.
Okay, well then that segues nicely into what I was going to say next because I've been watching a lot of Amazon Prime lately. I've had some free time and I'm just going to list off all the things that I've watched in the last couple of weeks. Some of them are on Amazon Prime, some of them are on Disney, some of them are on Netflix. I'm not going to give you a review of each one because it'll take too long, but I watched the whole series of Inventing Anna.
Yeah.
I watched the entire series, Keep Breathing.
I watched that too. That wasn't the best, eh?
No, I didn't like Keep Breathing. Inventing Anna was okay. Inventing Anna was a little bit unbelievable to me. I know they keep saying it at the beginning of every episode, everything is true except for the parts that aren't true. I don't know how much of it is actually true, but it just seemed a little unbelievable to me. Keep Breathing I didn't like at all because I thought it was this whole like, how does she survive in the woods by herself? But the whole show was basically flashbacks.
Yeah, it's too much flashbacks. I also wanted it to be a survival show, and it turned out to be just like, yeah, I agree 100%.
It was terrible. Another Netflix show that I watched with Neil Patrick Harris, who I really like, is Uncoupled. It was an okay show, not bad. I think there might be a season 2, and I might watch if there is. And then the rest, I think, are all movies that I watched. Licorice Pizza, Ford versus Ferrari. I actually like that one. Dear Evan Hansen. Dirty Girl, which is actually an old movie, but I just discovered it this week. It's with Juno Temple. You know Juno Temple.
Sure, yeah.
The Voyeurs, which was completely filmed and produced and everything in Montreal. I didn't even know that going into it, but a good movie. And then this other movie, which actually bothered me. It's called I Care a Lot. It's with Rosamund Pike.
Oh, I like her.
I like her too. And it was a good movie. But I don't know, again, I don't know how much of these things, because they're movies, like how much of this can actually happen in real life. So basically, Rosamund Pike, she's a lawyer, and anytime there's like an elderly person who's not well, who doesn't have any family, and needs someone to take care of them, the elderly person gets put into a residence, and then someone needs to manage that person's estate. So Rosamund Pike, she's like apparently the best lawyer in I think it's in Boston. It takes place, and like all these, she's responsible for all of these people. Like not just one or two, but a bunch of them. But the thing is, like everyone thinks she's this really nice lady because she's taking care of all these old people.
She's stealing all their money.
Yes, she is. And like apparently the way she does it, because she has like legal guardianship from the court. And so like she's doing it all legally. Yeah. And there's nothing that the people can do about it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So I don't know if that actually happens in the United States or not, but
there's a story here in Canada, in Montreal, of something similar about this. Like, it does happen. I guarantee you it happens. But, like, maybe it doesn't happen, like, on the scale of one person scamming a million people, right? But it definitely happens.
Anyway, so that annoyed me. So those are the things that I've been watching. So do we have any listener mail from our last episode?
Mailbag.
Dan from North Carolina. I could not get over how remote, I think he means obscure, the artists were, talking about our female artists episode. While all along you have had Canada's own Shania Twain with over 100 million records sold. I guess music is subjective, and it is the Skip and Josh podcast. Keep up the great work, very entertaining. He's right. Our rules, our show. That's the motto of the podcast.
Right, but the topic was favorite, right? Shania Twain, she's great. She sold 1 million albums, but she's not one of my favorites.
No, me neither.
So
our good friend Jesse Jackson in Dallas gave us his list. Sarah Hickman, Linda Ronstadt, Carole King, Marianne Cal, I had to look up who she was, Alicia Witt, who is an actress, and he explained that she's also a singer and he saw her in concert, and Patsy Cline. Jesse always has some very eclectic picks.
I was just going to say that exact thing, yes.
My Uncle Lenny said, I didn't know any of the women that you were talking about. Basically, that's what he told me. He's like, who are these female artists? Our good friend Matt from British Columbia said Annie Lennox, Katie Lang, Four Non Blondes, Mama Cass, Jefferson Airplane, Bonnie Tyler, and Dusty Springfield. Also a very eclectic list. Jason here in Montreal, great episode as usual. My list includes Blondie and Stevie Nicks. I can endorse those picks, you know. And Stephanie in Montreal listened to our Ozark episode. I guess she's catching up on the old episodes, and she said she agrees with me 100%. Wendy is evil and deserves to die. So, got some affirmation, baby, right there. And now, this is where I thought you were going to start the show with. I really, really thought you were going to start the show with this. I was so convinced. Got a text from Derek from Dollard here in the West Island of Montreal. And he said, this is one for your weird injuries list, because you always like to keep up with the weird injuries.
Yes.
You must have heard about Aroldis Chapman, who's on the disabled list because he got a tattoo and now it's infected.
So actually, I did hear about this, and I completely forgot about it. And I should have added it to the list. This is a great one. Like, this could only happen to a baseball player.
It's actually the best one ever. Like, the guy got a tattoo and now it's infected. And they asked Aaron Boone about it because I read an article yesterday. They're like, well, what do you think about him getting a tattoo during a pennant race? And he's like, oh, what am I going to supposed to stop him from getting a tattoo? You know, this is the first time we've heard about it, an infection. But this is the best, right? So I'm reading the article, and for some reason, I scroll down to I'm reading it on the New York Post website, and I scroll down and I start to see the comments from the New York Post readers. Now, you have to know that Aroldis Chapman has not had a good season.
He's not their closer anymore, by the way. Like, you know, the fact that he's injured is probably like a good thing for them.
Well, so these are some of the comments. Maybe it was a tattoo of the strike zone so he could get familiar with it.
That's a great comment.
The best tattoo any Yankees fan could ask for. If they save his leg from infection, it will be his first save in 3 months.
Hilarious. Hilarious.
And
These
then
comments are great.
You know Aaron Hicks on the Yankees, he's having a brutal season too, right? He's center fielder. Can he refer the tattoo artist to Aaron Hicks? I will pay the tattoo person myself if he can come up with the same result.
This is great. I mean, you have to love New Yorkers. You really do.
Oh, it was so good. There were so many, like many of them were serious about saying how this is a good thing for the Yankees because they don't need Chapman and all this. But I just thought it was great. I mean, look, what percentage of major leaguers do you think have tattoos? I think it's probably 50.
It might be more than 50.
Who knows, right?
I think you and I are the last two people on earth who don't have a tattoo.
It's so true. Even my daughter's friends, teenage girls, have tattoos.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have a topic this week, and I've been thinking about this for a little while. And I started compiling a list of questions that I wanted to ask you. You know, Josh, we've only been doing this for 5 years, and this is only episode 259. So how much do the listeners really know about you? Right?
Well, it's interesting. Before you even ask any questions, I have learned things about you doing this show that I had no idea. And I thought, before we started this show 5-6 years ago, I thought I already knew everything about you.
So true. So I decided, our list is usually 7 things. So I have 7 questions. I actually had way more. I gave myself homework this week. Like we usually say we have 17 things on our list and we had to get down to 7. Well, that's exactly what happened to me with these questions. Some of the questions are bogus, but I'm going to keep them. If this format if you enjoy it and we think it's good, maybe we'll do it again with my leftover questions. But I have 7 questions to ask you. I've tried to order them in whatever. It's kind of no particular order. Some of these are like things you see on the internet, things, I don't know how I thought them up, but and I haven't told you any of them. And I told you, this is your dream week because you don't have to do any preparation. You just have to show up. Right. So I don't know. You ready for the questions?
I am. And I haven't done any prep because you haven't told me any of the questions. And the fact that I didn't have to do any preparation, I was thrilled. So obviously I agreed to this format. Although now when I hear the questions, who knows? Maybe I will regret my decision.
They're mostly like this or that questions. So like you're going to choose, but I formatted them so we could talk about them. Because if you just say the answer and then we go to the next one, well, the podcast is going to last 17 minutes, right? So
or 7 minutes.
Yeah. So question number 1. The pandemic is kind of over-ish. Like, I don't know how you want to call it. You used to work at an office before. You used to go every day. What do you prefer, like work from home or working from the office?
Okay, so this is a great first question because, first of all, the short answer is I definitely prefer working from home. There's no question. So that's for sure. Now, it's interesting because we were told, everyone that works for the same company as me, that we do need to go back to the office. Not every day, but we do need to go back to the office. So I've been going in once a week, and starting, I think, next week or the week after, I'm probably going to be going in twice a week, which I'm not thrilled about, I'll be honest with you. I'd rather work from home because I don't mind being in the office. It's just getting there and getting back. It takes me door to door, 45 minutes to get there and 45 minutes to get back. So that's 90 minutes that I waste every day. Whereas when I work from home, it takes me 10 seconds to get to my desk.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, like, as you know, I've been working from home for like 8-10 years, like way before the pandemic. I was already working from home. And the things that are dawning on people now, like what you just said, it's like I knew about this stuff way before. Like, you know how much time I save by not being in traffic and going there? Like, it's never mind how much gas you save. That's like a personal financial thing. But like, well, you know, like that's a benefit. But like, there's so much extra time. It's absurd. But then again, there are the negative that I always said is like when you work from home, the lines of when work stops and home begins is very blurry. You know, like
that's true because I often work after 5 o'clock because I'm sitting at my desk and I don't realize what time it is and I just want to get something done.
You were just sending an email 5 minutes before we started recording.
That's right, and it's Saturday. I will add, so I never drove to work, but I save money too because I don't have to take the subway. So that's an added expense that I'll have to spend when I do go to the office. And when I go to the office, I always eat at the food court. So that's another added expense that I'm going to have that I wouldn't have if I worked from home.
I think like the idea of working in the office is like really ancient. I think companies think there's like an added benefit of like this collaboration and stuff that you do with your colleagues and all this. And I mean, maybe it depends on the type of office that you are or the type of work that you're doing. But like, I know for me, when I started working from home, it's because there was literally no point in me going. Like the other people that were in the office, I wasn't even working with them. I didn't even have any need to talk to them. Right. So like, what was the point of me going sitting at a cubicle, you know? So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because cities are reckoning with this thing now, right? Like, I don't know how it is in downtown Toronto, but like downtown Montreal, like Place Ville-Marie, all the big office buildings, it's dead, right? Like, and you know, like you said, you mentioned food courts. Like, are all those food courts, like, did they survive? Like,
no, so I went to the food court just on Thursday, actually, and half of the ones that were there before are empty. I mean, the sign is still there, but there's no employees serving food.
There's so many businesses that rely on those office workers in every city, in every downtown, in everywhere in the world that are just like, I don't know. I think our world is forever changed in terms of like urban, suburban, you know, like this question is a big question. Number one, we could probably do a whole episode on it, but I'll go to question 2, which is a much more lighter topic. It's not as serious. I would like to know, where do you stand on the question of pineapple on pizza?
Okay, that's funny that you bring this one up too. So I think I had pineapple on pizza once in my life. And
in your whole life?
In my whole life, I think I tried it once. Wow. And it was actually better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I didn't want to try it, but it was the only topping left that day. Like, I was at an office or something and someone ordered like 12 pizzas and the only one left over was the pineapple pizza. So I tried it and it was better than I thought it was going to be. But under normal circumstances, I mean, I don't think pineapple belongs on pizza. I don't think any fruit belongs on pizza.
You're so much like my son.
But I mean, it's logical. Like, you know, pizza is supposed to be something savory, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's supposed to be. Who says that? You know, that's what you think. But I mean, people change the rules all the time. You know, boundaries move along. It's funny because you're not on social media so much. Like, this question is like a big internet type of question. You know, like the same in the. I was gonna ask you this one, but I think it's ridiculous. Like, is a hot dog a sandwich? You've heard of this? Like, anyways.
No, I haven't heard this one.
Well, I didn't want to ask that because it's stupid. But pineapple on pizza is a big internet thing, and I always was like, I don't understand why this is such a hot topic because I always thought it's fine. like Mark, our friend in Philadelphia, we've been ordering pineapple on pizza since like the 80s. Like, I was ordering it from Tasty Food in like 1986. We would get pepperoni and pineapple. So
I didn't even know Tasty Food had that as an option.
For me, this is not like a big question. It's like, I think it's fine. If you want to have it, it's fine. If you don't, you don't. But I don't know. Okay. Question number 3. A little bit more difficult, Josh. It's more, I don't know how to frame. I actually didn't know how to frame it.
Before you ask the next question, am I going to need a calculator for any of these questions?
No.
Okay.
Maybe for this one. No, I'm just kidding. So who do you like better, Sidney Crosby or Alexander Ovechkin?
Well, I think I like both of them, but I think just by default, because Sidney Crosby's Canadian, I'm going to pick Sidney Crosby because I can root for him when there's international hockey being played. And I obviously am not going to root for Ovechkin when there's international hockey being played. But I have nothing against Ovechkin. I think he has better stats. I mean, I don't have their stats in front of me, but I'm pretty sure he has better stats than Sidney Crosby.
They're almost exactly the same. It's just like more goals, less assists. But like, I think the point totals is like, it's eerily like almost exactly.
I think Ovechkin's played more games because he's been healthier.
Yeah, and he has, because Crosby had a concussion. He sat out for a year. And
I mean, Ovechkin actually has a slim chance to break Wayne Gretzky's record. Crosby's not going to come close to that.
Well, no, I mean but Ovi's more of a goal scorer.
Right.
Crosby's more of a playmaker, more of a well-rounded player.
The interesting thing is
yeah.
they're roughly the same age. I think they're only 1 year apart in age. But if you see them, like Crosby still looks young, Ovechkin looks like an old man.
It's because Ovechkin has always had that gray hair, even for a little while.
Yeah.
Right? It's the reason why I asked this is because it's like about perception, right? Mm-hmm. Like when the career started, everybody said, "Oh, Crosby's way better. He won the cups, and like the Capitals had these flameouts in the playoffs where they couldn't get past anything." And Ovi had this reputation as like a very, like, I don't want to say one way, but like a one-dimensional player. He was just a goal scorer, right?
Right.
And then Canada won the Olympics. Crosby got the golden goal. So he had this aura around him. But like as time has gone by, and now that Ovi won the cup, we're not gonna effing suck this year.
We're not gonna be suck this year. We're the Stanley Cup champions. Yeah!
I don't put too much weight into Stanley Cups and Super Bowls and World Series and things like that, because a lot of that depends on, the players around you. So you could have like the most amazing player, but if he doesn't have any supporting cast around him, what's he supposed to do? It's not his fault. Like Sidney Crosby, look, he's had Evgeny Malkin with him all these years, and Chris Letang and Marc-Andre Fleury, and I'm sure I'm leaving guys out. I mean, Ovechkin hasn't had that kind of supporting cast.
Especially in hockey, one player affects the game less than other sports. Like in basketball, one player, and that's all you need sometimes, right? Like hockey, you're not on the ice for 3/4 of the game, right? If it's a forward, or 2/3 of the game, whatever it is. I just think it's interesting that Ovi has a new image because he's kept on going the last few years. He's scoring lots of goals. I think it's more than a slim chance that he's going to break Gretzky's goal record. I think there's a pretty good chance. And Crosby, people have this idea that he's not as good anymore. I don't know. It's just interesting. Anyways, I prefer Crosby. I think, he's my guy. So
I do think, I was surprised that the Penguins, they brought back pretty much everybody from last year, like all the big names, including their coach. So they didn't really make any major changes. But the thing is,
I think they're in denial.
Right. They haven't advanced, I think, past the first or second round in a few years now. So, I mean, while sure, I'd love to have Sidney Crosby on my team, I think it's time for them to start the rebuild. But whatever, I don't see the Penguins doing anything this year.
No, I agree. They were old already. They got older. It's not really. I think they have this idea that there's like one miracle run in them, but there isn't, right? There just isn't. Yeah. All right. Question number 4. What's your preferred musical format? Records, tapes, CDs, or digital?
Okay.
You see, I put a lot of thought into these questions.
You did put a lot of thought into this because I wasn't even expecting the fourth choice there. Well, I mean, if you ask me the question today, in September of 2022, I'm going to say digital because it's the easiest. I mean, you can store thousands of songs in the palm of your hand, literally. With records or tapes or CDs, you have to physically go and get the record or CD or tape and take it out of its case and put it into a machine, turn on the machine, push play on the machine. And furthermore, you can really only listen to it, in that room or maybe somewhere in the house. Whereas the digital version, you can take it with you literally wherever you go. Some people say that vinyl sounds better, and maybe
that's nonsense.
And maybe it does sound better. I don't know. I don't have a good enough ear to tell you that. But for me, if you asked if those are the 4 choices, I'm picking digital. What would you pick?
I mean, look, digital for sure, because of all the things that you just said. Like, there's a reason why there's progress in the world. Like, not just in this, in everything, right? We start with this, and then then we get things get better and better and better. Like, well, presumably better, but like, so I think it's digital, but the reason why I asked that is because when I did that, I was a guest on Jesse's podcast for the John Hyatt month, and I took out all my John Hyatt CDs, right, to look at them and remember them. And I don't know why I did that, because I have all the music on my phone, like you said. I just took them out, and I kind of missed the physical format. I like the little booklet. I like reading the lyrics, looking at the photos. There's something lost in the digital format with the artwork and the whole idea of an album, right? Like it's not just a bunch of MP3s. You know what I mean? It should be more than that. But it's still digital, still the best format.
Yeah, you're right. I did like when I would get a record, an album, and I would take it out of its sleeve and there'd be stuff to read or photos sometimes.
Yeah.
That is great. Plus, me, I always like to smell the album, right? Because
you like to smell paper, I know.
Yeah. So that's another thing. Like, you don't get that with digital because it doesn't smell like anything. I will say that of those, the choices that you gave me, the worst one is the cassette. Because
I agree
with the cassette, like, how annoying is it if you're listening, if you want to go to one specific song, you have to fast forward and then rewind and then fast forward until you get to the right place, because you can't see what you're doing when you're fast forwarding or rewinding a cassette tape. So that's the worst of all of them.
But do you remember in my car, I had, cassette player was good because you could put it in the car. Obviously, the record, you couldn't put it in a car. Right? But I had this function on my car tape player. I forget what the initials were, but it was like... Anyways, it would find the blank space.
So I don't remember this, and I'm stunned that feature existed all those years ago, because your old car was like ancient.
Like, if I push fast forward, it wouldn't keep fast forwarding forever. It would fast forward to the blank space, so you could actually get to the next song. But it wasn't foolproof. It wasn't like perfect, like it was my Clem car, my Honda.
I do remember. Yes, of course.
But I think at one point we put in like a third party radio, like a cassette player. Like we upgraded it, like just that. Maybe me and my sister did it. I don't remember, but I can't remember. But I had that function where you could find the blank space. It was like, and I thought it was like the greatest thing in the world.
Well, if it really worked, that is the greatest thing in the world.
Okay, question 5, maybe the hardest question, Josh. Might be the hardest question. Who will win a championship first? The Toronto Blue Jays or the Toronto Maple Leafs? I don't know the answer myself. I don't know how to answer it either. But
so the thing is, I don't know the answer either, but I'm going to say the Toronto Blue Jays because I don't think the Maple Leafs are ever going to win a championship. I mean, I don't even know if the Maple Leafs are ever going to get out of the first round, whereas the Jays actually look like they're going to make the playoffs this year. And as you know, in baseball, all you have to do is make the playoffs, and then anything can happen. It's not like the NHL where you have to go through 4 rounds and best of 7 in each round. And it usually in the NHL, the best team wins the Stanley Cup. In baseball, you've seen wildcard teams win the World Series. In football, you've seen wildcard teams win the Super Bowl. Because in football, it's just one game. It's not a best of 7. So, if you're asking me between those two, I'm going to say the Toronto Blue Jays will win the World Series before the Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup.
It's a very difficult question. I'm sorry that I dumped that on you, but I think I do agree. I think the Jays have a better chance. They've assembled a young team with a bunch of superstars, potential superstars, I should say. Their lineup is fantastic. Like you said, you've seen in the baseball playoffs, if you get one starting pitcher that just gets hot and that becomes unhittable. We've seen it with Madison Bumgarner, Curt Schilling, or, there's evidence of this, right? Or a hitter. Sometimes you just get a hitter that you can't get out, right? And all of a sudden, Tampa made it to the World Series a few years ago with Randy Arozarena, basically, because he was hitting everything, right? So I think so. And then the Leafs, like you said, they can't get out of the first round. And I don't know what they did to their goaltending, so I don't think I don't think things are looking better for the Leafs this year as they did last year.
Well, they
it's
think
worse.
they've upgraded their goaltending.
Yeah, I think they're crazy.
But okay, maybe it's a slight upgrade, maybe, but I don't think it's a significant
they're upgrading
upgrade.
over. They're like my son said, they're upgrading over Jack Campbell, right? Like that's their upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Campbell wasn't good. Like he wasn't.
It's
even
interesting.
good.
He had a good first half and he made the All-Star team, but then he was ordinary after that.
My son always points out about Jack Campbell. He was a very high draft pick, but it took him 10 years to become a starter in the league. Mm-hmm. It took him 10 years to become a starter, and he only became a starter because the Leafs had no one else. And then all of a sudden he was playing well and they gave him the job.
What's even funnier, though, so the Leafs think they've upgraded their goaltending by replacing Jack Campbell. It's even funnier that the Edmonton Oilers think they've upgraded their goaltending and they acquired Jack Campbell. Now, actually, the Oilers did upgrade their goaltending because the goalie they had before was terrible. So they've actually upgraded, but the Oilers still have a problem in nets.
I was just going to say, the Oilers actually did upgrade, but he still sucks.
Yeah.
It's only because the other guy they had was so bad.
Exactly.
That he was actually costing them games. Like you just need a guy to stand there and let the puck hit him. Let the puck hit you. Just stand there and be big in the net. And Mike Smith, who's like 6'9" or whatever, he's the biggest goalie in the league, couldn't even do that.
Well, because Mike Smith is old.
No, I know.
So.
All right. So I'm going to give you another food question for question number 6. I think most people know that like one of your favorite foods is French fries.
That's very accurate? Yes. If I had to pick only one thing to eat, that would be it.
So when you eat fries, like, is there a preferred condiment? Ketchup, mayonnaise, something else?
It's plain. It's plain. No condiments whatsoever. If the fries are good, and like certain places have good French fries, if the fries are good, you don't need any condiments. No salt, no pepper, nothing.
Well, I mean, they're usually salted. I mean, every place puts a bit of salt.
Right, but I don't add anything to them.
You don't add. Yeah. I mean, if you add salt to McDonald's fries, you need to be committed.
Agreed.
We once ate French fries at McDonald's, and you took one bite of them, and you said, "There's enough salt in this French fry to kill a small whale."
Yes, and what else did I do once at McDonald's? You know how you can see them pouring the salt on the French fries.
Oh, so crazy.
Or at least you used to be able to see them do it. I don't know if you can see them do it anymore.
You can see, yeah.
But so when I once ordered French fries at McDonald's and I said, "Can you please put my French fries in the box before you pour the salt on them?" And they actually did it for me, and they were a million times better.
It's so funny. So the follow-up question to the condiments, because you don't like any condiments, do you have like a favorite format of fries? And when my wife read these questions, she's like, "What is format of fries?" And I mean, it's like the cuts is like straight cut, crinkle cut, waffle cut, curly fries, fat ones, round chip style. Like, do you care or?
I do care, but I don't know how to describe the one I like. So the ones I like are like at Schwartz's, for example, or at the Orange Julep, where they're pretty much straight.
I think it's straight cut, yeah.
But the thing is, there's a difference because McDonald's is also straight, but McDonald's French fries, they're hard. I don't like the hard fries.
McDonald's, they call them matchstick. It's like a skinnier version of.
Yeah, I don't like
it's
those.
Not straight cut.
I don't like those. What I like is from the Orange Julep or from Schwartz's or DeCarry hot dog, where they're a little bit soggy, let's say, but they're.
You love those.
But I hate those. But they're soft, and so they're not crunchy, and it feels like you're actually eating a potato, which is what it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So those are the ones that I like.
All right, wow, that's great. Well, look, we got to question 7. I hope you like these questions.
These are great.
So the 7th is the only one that's not like a choice. Is there a band that you have never seen in concert, but that you want to still see them?
There are many, actually. I haven't seen the Beaches live, and I would like to see them live. I don't know if I've ever seen Ben Folds 5, but I don't think they're still touring.
I would love to see Ben Folds live. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, it would probably be so much fun.
I'm sure there's others. Like, I mean, we can go back to the 80s, but those bands aren't, they've disbanded now. So I won't.
Well, they are touring, but a lot of those 80s bands are touring, but with like other members, different singers.
Right.
They're on like what's called like the geriatric tour.
Right. Like I never saw Men at Work I would like to
Well,
see
they
them.
don't exist anymore.
They don't-
Maybe they are probably touring Men at Work. Who
I don't know.
knows?
Oh, but actually, it's interesting because there is a band that I've never seen that's also from the 80s that is still touring that I'm supposed to see in less than 2 weeks, and that's Crowded House. So I'm excited to see them.
Are you going?
I'm supposed to be going, yes. A friend of ours who you know, who lives in Montreal, purchased tickets. The concert's in Toronto, and he's supposed to be coming to Toronto, and he asked me to join him at the concert. So I'm supposed to see Crowded House in about 11 days.
All right, that's interesting. I mean, at one point, the reason why I thought of this question is at one point, like when I was younger, 20s or 30s, I was like, I think I've seen every artist that I really love. I think I've seen them all, like in concert. Like everybody that I really wanted to see, I thought I had seen them all. Then, of course, you discover new artists and things like this. You know, like obviously, I would love to see Casey Musgraves, but you know, like that's another story. But like I remember back at the time when I thought about like all the bands and all the classic rock acts. It's gonna sound weird, but like I wish I at least once would have went to see the Grateful Dead. I know it sounds stupid, and I'm not like such a big fan, but I think it would have been quite an experience.
Aren't they still touring?
But Jerry Garcia's dead. Like, so it's like again, it's not the real, and they never, you know. I think they are. I don't know. So that's 7 questions, Josh. How do you like that?
I like that. So now I think I need to come up with 7 questions for you, not for next episode, but one of these days I'm going to have to come up with 7 questions for you.
Just keep writing that. I think of these during the day and then I write them down in my notes. Like they just come to me.
That's what I'll do.
Or it's like I hear a song on the radio, or you know.
It could take me 7 weeks to think of 7 questions though.
Like I had other food questions, like in my other like that, but I didn't want to make 7 food questions, and I didn't want to make 7 music or 7 sports, so I kind of mixed them up, you know. So
The Skip and Josh podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts. If you listen to the show through Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. To interact with the show, send an email to skipandjoshshow@gmail.com. Follow the show on Twitter and go to Facebook to like the show page. And now for some final thoughts from the guys.
So Skip, you inspired me because I don't know, we talked about this a few episodes ago. You were talking about a song that you discovered while watching the movie 500 Days of Summer. I forget which song it was.
Us by Regina Spektor.
Right. So then, I don't know, that day or the next day or something, I was bored and looking for something to watch, and I went onto one of my streaming platforms, and lo and behold, 500 Days of Summer was available for me to watch, and I watched it. You'd asked me if I'd ever
great.
You'd asked me if I'd ever seen the movie, and I said that I did, but when I watched it like 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, I don't remember any of it, meaning that it's possible that I've only seen the last, 10 minutes of the movie, like, when you're flipping around and you see a movie and you just watch until the end. Mm-hmm. So it's possible that I've only seen the last 10 minutes and I never watched the entire movie from start to finish, but now I have, and it was a very good movie.
It's a fantastic movie, and the last 10 minutes are very important.
They are.
Because he meets the other girl, Autumn, not Summer.
Right.
Who I think is Minka Kelly.
She is yes. You're absolutely right.
I have a great memory for stuff. It's ridiculous how I can remember things and I can't remember.
It is crazy how you remember that. Yeah. By the way, there's other good songs in that movie. That's not the only good song. So just so you're aware.
Well, I don't know if you know, but like my ringtone since I've had a smartphone has been the song "You Make My Dreams Come True" by Hall & Oates. That is my ringtone. That's always been my ringtone.
I had is it possible that I've never heard your phone ring? Because I had no clue.
99% of the time my phone is on silent, so it doesn't ring.
Uh-huh.
But it is my ringtone, and the reason why I did it is because of that movie. There's that crazy sequence where he's dancing in the park, and it's like, it's just great. It's such a great movie. I know you don't really want to talk about Serena Williams, but I'm gonna just give you a stat. She lost yesterday, so it's probably her last match ever. I mean, obviously, she's a legend and everything, and we don't have to go into her career, but. I wish her a great retirement. I just wanted to give you this weird stat that I saw on Twitter. It's absolutely incredible.
Okay.
August 29th, 2001.
Oh, I think I heard this stat, but keep going.
Serena Williams wins a match at the U.S. Open. Albert Pujols hits a home run. Vladimir Guerrero Sr., Craig Biggio, and Dante Bichette all record a hit. Flash forward to August 29th, 2022. Serena Williams wins at the U.S. Open. Albert Pujols hits a home run. Vlad Guerrero Jr., Kevin Biggio, and Bo Bichette all record a hit.
So
Like,
I only heard part of that. I didn't hear that whole thing. So that's actually crazy.
it's totally nuts, don't you think? It's absolutely nuts.
It is completely nuts. Who even looks that up?
I don't know. The Elias Sports Bureau.
No, but I mean, it's like, who would think, like, okay, that happens. It happened, I guess, a week ago, right? All this, what you just said, happened a week ago, right? So it happened. But then who sits there to think, oh, let me go back 10 years or 20 years or whatever and see if it happened again on the same date, whatever, how many years ago? Like, who thinks of that?
There's really, really smart people or people that are bored. I don't know.
I don't know if I'd use the word smart, but
I know. So when Serena won her first match at the U.S. Open, Josh, Greg Popovich was 106th on the NBA all-time wins list. He's number 1 now. Tom Brady had not even thrown a touchdown pass at Michigan, never mind in the NFL. LeBron James was in high school, and Tim Duncan was the Rookie of the Year in the NBA. That's how long ago things were. It's just absolutely incredible.
And what were you and I doing?
In, let's say, 2001?
This podcast hadn't started yet.
No, I don't know if podcasts that didn't exist either. So I'm glad you liked the 7 questions. I'm going to give you the homework for the next episode. I think we know what the topic is, but again, we're not going to spoil it because we don't want to paint ourselves into a corner.
Right.
But hopefully in 2 episodes from now, you'll ask me 7 questions.
Yes, I think I can manage that.
Yeah, that was a great episode. Great talking to you.
Have a great week.